This is lesson 6.7, solving absolute value inequalities. So here are a few definitions. Absolute value is the distance between 0 and the point representing a number on the number line. Absolute value inequality, an inequality that has one of these forms. AX plus B is less than C, and so on. So we have a few problems here. And the first thing we need to know is this rule right here. So if the sign is facing this way, we know it's an or, and we have to flip the sign and add a negative. If the sign is facing this way, we know it's an and we have to flip the sign and add a negative. And I'll demonstrate this rule whenever we go through these problems. So first, let's do this first problem. I'm going to erase this rule and let's solve it. So what we're going to have to do for all of these is solve the equation and then graph it on the number line. So for this first one, we have the absolute value of x is greater than 6. So from our rule, we know that when it's facing this way, it's an or. So what we're going to do is absolute value of x is greater than 6, or the absolute value of x is less than negative 6. Now we're going to graph this. So I'm going to move this out of the way because we have our equation. And to graph this, what we're going to do is we're going to put 0 down on our number line, and we're going to put negative 6 right here. It's not negative. And negative 6 right here. And here's a trick. So wherever this is facing, all you have to do is add a little thing and it becomes an arrow to whichever way it's going to point. So this is x is less than negative 6, so that means we are going to be going this way. And this one is greater than 6, so it's going to be going this way. And now we have to do our little dot on the number line. So if it is just open and there's no line underneath, then we know it is going to be open. So it is not filled in. And this one is as well because it's not filled in. So there we have graphed and done the first problem. Now let's move on to the second problem. Which is the absolute value of x minus 2 is less than 5. So for this one, what we're going to have to do is simplify. So we're going to add 2 to both sides. And we get the absolute value of x is less than 5 plus 2, 7. Now what we're also going to have to do is the sign is facing, it's not facing this way, so it's going to be an and. Write that down. So we're going to have to do this one. We're going to have to do it again, but remember this time we're going to go x, the absolute value x minus 2, flip the sign, add a negative. And then all we have to do is simplify. So we have the absolute value of x is greater than negative 3. So now we have our two equations, and we're going to have to put them together since it's an and. So we have x in the middle, and we have x is greater than 7. Or sorry, x is less than 7. And the greater than the mouth of the alligator is pointing towards the 7. And then over here we have the mouth of the alligator is pointing towards the x, negative 3. So that's what we would graph. So now we're going to graph it so we can erase all this work. So I can put down the number line. So put down our number line. So what we're going to do is graph it. So it's kind of the same thing as last time. We're going to put a 0 here, and our -3 would be about right here, and our 7 be about right here. You need to be precise, but I'm just, for time's sake, I'm going to just do it like this. So now we have, what we're going to do here is, let's first do this thing, since put down the circle on the point, because it does not have anything under it. It's going to be open. And now we're going to graph the line. So we have 7 is, well, we have x is greater than -3. So everything greater, but x is also less than 7. So it's going to be in between here. It's going to be in between the 2 dots. So we're going to fill in, because x is everything greater than -3 and everything less than 7. So that's how you graph that. So now we have our final inequality, which is x plus 2 minus absolute value of x plus 2 minus 5 is greater than or equal to 8. So for this one, what we're going to have to do is, before we can, first, if we want to, we can figure out if it's an and or an or. This one is an or, so we can just put a little note on the side that this is an or. So what we're going to do is, before we put these into two different equations, one flip the sign negative, we are going to simplify this 5 so it's not there anymore. So x plus 2, absolute value x plus 2, is greater than or equal to 8 plus -5, 3. And now we can solve this one, but also make it into, gonna do the other, I guess, version of it, which is x plus 2, flip the sign, is less than or equal to -3. Or, and then we're going to solve these. You can't do this before you simplify this number. So now we're going to simplify both equations. -2 minus 2. Oh, wait, yep, like this. And now we have both of our equations. So we can graph it now. So we're going to graph the line, which would be 0, 1, and we have a line underneath the sign, so that means it's going to be a filled in point. And this line is going this way. And this line is going this way. So we have x is less than or equal to -1 this way, and x is greater than or equal to 1. That is how you solve absolute value inequalities.